Hey guys, what's up? It's iFlynn here, and today we're going to be taking a look at the Phage. Now, believe it or not, this thing is actually a shotgun. It is a infested weapon that you can get from the, is it the Biolab? I'm pretty sure it's the Biolab from your clan's dojo. This thing used to be really good, and then it went through a period of not being that good, and just gonna be honest with you guys, I have really enjoyed putting together builds for this weapon simply because, you know, I'm not necessarily building him in the same way. I say building him as if it's a guy. Building the weapon in the same way as I am all the other weapons, right? So it's not drastically different or anything. There's just, I've discovered a new mod that I didn't know existed prior to taking another look at this weapon called Modus Setup. So this is 100% critical and status chance for 4 seconds after landing from a double jump or a bullet jump. Now, that might sound pretty shitty to you, but you know, because you're moving around a lot in Warframe, you actually have this buff up quite often, and this mod just makes this weapon, in my opinion, a lot better than what it used to be. So I've got 3 different builds to show you guys. Of course, we've got my normal viral hunter munition being built that I always go for, but the build that I want you to sort of pay attention to the most is this here build and the crit and status build. So this here build is probably the type of build that most players will go for. You've got your prime point blank or your regular point blank on there. You've got your Hell's Chamber for your multi-shot. You've got your Frail Momentum for more fire rate. Of course, this takes away damage, but the fire rate bonus that you're getting actually increases your DPS. So, you know, that's all right. On top of that, we've got this Blaze mod on here, which actually counteracts that Frail Momentum or the loss of damage here. So that's nice. Toxic Barge for Toxin to give us more status chance. And of course, Toxin to make corrosive along with Shell Shock. And then we've got Prime Charge Shell and Contagious Spread on here to make our corrosive. So this weapon is base viral damage. So we've got that corrosive going, we've got the viral going, and we've got the heat going. So that's 3 elements on there, which are pretty good, right? The viral status effect is really nice. The heat status effect is really nice because it reduces armor and it's a damage over time. The corrosive status effect is really nice because it reduces armor as well. So yeah, that's really cool. Your crit chance is fairly low. So you've only got 19% crit on there. So it's not 110% worth it to build into crit, but the crit multiplier is actually really high at base. So whenever you do get a crit with the likes of the Modus Setup mod or just randomly with this build, then the crit is actually pretty damn decent, right? And you're going to be getting them quite often because of the high fire rate. You've also got a pretty big magazine with 90 in a magazine. So, you know, you just sort of have to see this weapon in action to sort of understand it. It's a beam weapon, right? So you just hold down the trigger when you're aiming down sights, because if you're not aiming down sights here, your Phage is just gonna go all over the place, right? It's like these weird tentacles, you know? So you gotta aim down sights to focus the beam, and then whenever all the beams are focusing in on the enemy's head or just on the enemy, that's when the damage starts to ramp up, and that's whenever the enemies are going to die pretty quickly. So this here, like I said, this is mainly your status build, right? So you've got a lot of damage mods on there, you've got your status mods, we've got fire rate on there as well, and this here build is going to be what most players will go for. So a little trick that I want to show you guys, Vigilante Supplies. This is another new mod that was introduced to me ever since I picked up the Kuva Brahma, because we all know that the Kuva Brahma has a very low magazine size, so having Vigilante Supplies on allows you to, you know, get more ammo for it, right? So that's one big upside of it. But the other upside, if you read below, 5% chance to enhance critical hits from primary weapons. So your critical hits can actually deal a lot more damage if you've got this here mod on, and because it's an Exo slot, you can just throw it on basically for free. I've went ahead and formatted so I can fit it on this here build right here because I couldn't fit a maxed out one on, and I just wanted to, you know, level it up a tiny bit. But yeah, I'm able to fit a max rank one on here and on this here build as well. So yeah, let's just go ahead and shoot at these level 110 crowd the heavy gunners. They are standing still. There's no stealth multiplier in the same simulacrum anymore. So yeah, let's just go ahead and try it out. So you'll see that this guy dies pretty quick. You know, it's not bad DPS. It takes about maybe 10 to 30 out of your magazine to kill an enemy whenever you're aiming at their head. And you can see that orange crit, that's because of our Vigilante Supplies there. So you know, like I said, whenever you get your crits, that's whenever the damage starts to ramp up, and that's whenever you just get a big burst of damage. You can see all those status effects coming into play there, and the amount of just damage over time we're dealing, the amount of DPS that we're dealing with this weapon. It's pretty nice just for, you know, a standard status damage and fire rate build, you know, so it's a pretty decent weapon, right? So let's move on to the crit build. So this is your crit hybrid build, which takes advantage of that modus setup mod, which increases our status and increases our crit by 100% whenever we do a double jump. And it lasts for 4 seconds, so I'm going to be double jumping a lot. But we've also went ahead and thrown on Prime Ravage on here to up our crit multiplier. We've got our Prime Point Blank for damage, Hell's Chamber for multi-shot, Frail Momentum for our fire rate again, because fire rate is just so good on beam weapons, you can't really pass up on it. Prime Charge Shell for your electric, Shell Shock for more status chance, because why not? You've got your Contagious Spread as well for Toxin, and then that makes your Corrosive, Viral, and Fire yet again. Then Vigilante Supplies, of course, for the ammo, and also to increase the effectiveness of our crits as well. So this here build, probably my favorite build, because this is the one that seems to kill the fastest. It's like the highest burst DPS, I guess you could say. So yeah, let's just go ahead and kill these bad guys. And of course, this is not using any fire rate buffs or anything like that. And you'll see up beside my health as I jump, and just around my character as well. I've got this fancy effect around my character every single time that I land on the double jump, and then the reset, or the timer on the modus setup buff is reset up there in the top, right? So it goes back up to 4 seconds. So basically between kills, I'm going to be jumping to reset that timer just to show off the enhanced critical chance and critical, or not critical, the enhanced critical chance and the enhanced status chance, right? So, you know, you burst enemies down really fast, you apply a lot of status effects. It's crazy how good this build is, and all you have to do is double jump. That's literally all you have to do. Just double jump forehead, and then bad guys die. Look at do you see that orange crit? Crazy. And that's from the Phage, right? That's from the Phage, so it's pretty good. That guy didn't die completely. Double jump again to get my buff back. There you go. So that one killed those guys way quicker than the original build that I showed you. So I would say that this here builds your damage, status, and fire rate. This is your lazy build. This is if you don't want to put a ton of effort into making this weapon really good. This is what you would go for. Of course, replacing the prime mods with the regular versions of the mods where you see fit. So, you know, you go for regular point blank if you don't have primed, go for a regular charge shell if you don't have primed, and then for your crit status, this build requires a little bit more effort because you got to get prime ravage, prime charge shell, prime point blank to get, you know, the exact amount of damage that I'm getting. Honestly, this build probably isn't worth going for if you don't have Prime Ravage. If you don't have Prime Ravage, go for this build, because this build is going to be a lot better. Regular Ravage just isn't really worth it. Another thing that I want to point out though, look at the Riven Dispo. We've got a full Riven Dispo in this, so, you know, if you want to get an insane Riven for this, by all means, get damage, multi-shot, crit chance, crit damage, status chance, fire rate, anything goes in this weapon, honestly. Because the Riven disposition is so high, it's just an insane weapon. Try maybe get an element, I don't know, because keep in mind you've got to replace a mod in this setup. Many of you might want to replace this modus setup mod, but I think this modus setup mod, because it gives you both critical chance and status chance, it might be hard to beat this, because then that would require you to get 100% critical chance and above, and then 100% status chance and above on the Riven if you wanted to have the exact same effect without the jumping, and then have another element or damage bonus or multi-shot bonus or something on top of that as well to make it like better than modus setup, you know, with a negative like minus damage to infested or something along those lines. So yeah, that's the two, I guess, easy builds I would recommend going for. The last build, I'm not really a big fan of the 100 munitions in this one. It doesn't really seem to kill as fast, but we got our prime point blank for our damage, primed cleanse corrupted for our damage to the corrupted enemies. This is going to give you 2.4 times extra damage on your slash procs. It's a mechanical double dipping. It's sort of hidden. Hell's Chamber for our multi-shot, Prime Ravage for our crit damage, modus setup obviously for our crit chance and status chance, because 100 munitions doesn't work that well if you don't have a decent amount of crits. So you need to make sure that you're proccing your modus setup in this case to make this build work. And then you've got your Toxic Barge and your Shell Shock to make corrosive, because we already have viral on here, so we might as well run corrosive, and then we can proc both corrosive and viral, right? So you know, let's just go ahead and try it out. Vigilite supplies out here. We still get that 5% chance to enhance critical hits from primary weapons, even though it's only rank 1, so it's still worth running, even though it's pretty low rank, right? So if we jump in, we spawn in more level 110 enemies. We gotta make sure that we're doing our jump, and here we go. So you can get the enemy down to like half health, and then move on to the next enemy, and then those guys will die because of those slash procs, right? So I don't know, it is killing pretty fast now that I'm demonstrating it, but it's just whenever I was testing it out, because I was just like holding down on the enemy's head, I was sort of just waiting for those crits to kick in, but now that I'm demonstrating it, it seems to be a lot better. I don't know. It's why I'm torn in showing 100 munitions viral beam builds all the time in these build videos, because sometimes they're great, sometimes they're pretty and it's just gonna depend on the player and what they sort of want to achieve with their weapon, I guess you could say, because like, you know, this weapon is clearly good with this build, right? But you might not want to have this build where you sort of like put the ammo into the enemy and then move on to the next, right? You might want to just shoot the enemy and then keep on shooting that enemy until it's dead, you know? This here type of build is only for people who want to take it into like endgame or something along those lines, you know, where your ammo economy, like you have to be efficient with your ammo, right? Because you don't want to waste it, because enemies are going to get harder and harder to kill, you know? So that's what this type of build is for. This is sort of an over-the-top build for the Phage. I don't know, it's up to you if you want to run it. I still think that this here build is supreme for the sort of current meta of the game. But then if I was to go like later on into a survival mission or a defense mission with the Phage, I don't know why you would do that, but if you were to do that, then this would be the build that I would go for. So yeah, that's my Phage builds, guys. I don't know why I'm struggling to speak English today. That is my Phage build, guys. Thank you for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, go ahead, hit that like button below. And if you'll see more Warframe content from me, hit subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next one.